On behalf of the People's Progressive Party, allow me to thank you for being here today. I love you too. I love you too, Nadia. We went to Kitty for the launch of our campaign, and we had the largest crowd ever in the history of campaign launches. We went to Albion, and Berbice was overflowing with the largest crowd ever. And here today at Regina, we have the largest crowd we have ever had on this square. And the reason this is so is because this party is trustworthy. This party delivers on what it promises. We have had a long track record of fighting for the people of Guyana. And we have always, in the good times and the bad times, we have stood by our people. And you can count on us in the future to stand by you, wherever you're from, whether in the Pomeroon, on the coast, whether you're Amerindian, Indian, or Afro-Guyanese, or mixed Guyanese, we will stand by you. I came here in the sad years of the PNC rule. We saw the desolation on the coast. There was no job. Every meeting that we went to, people complained that they could not find work. They were the rice farmers spoke of the neglect, farm-to-market roads, drainage and irrigation, no help to them. People in the Pomeroon were flooded many times, and they could not even see a minister from the government. And they knew at that time that had we continued on that road, this country would have had no future. And we made commitments to you at that time. We said we'll fight hard to change the circumstances, and we did. We prevailed when they tried to steal the elections. And today, if we had not prevailed when they tried to steal the elections, if we didn't defend democracy, Guyana would have been like Venezuela at this point in time. You see what's happening in Venezuela. The people here are experienced the many migrants who have come from Venezuela, who have lost their freedom. They lost their economic livelihood. Many who migrated years from ago to seek a better life in Venezuela had to flee that country because they lost their freedom. The PNC took away our freedom for 28 years. We became the poorest country in the hemisphere in the 1990s. They destroyed our economy. And then in the 5 years they were re-elected, they tried to steal it again. And that's why we say, never again should they come to power. They implemented all of these policies. We promised to reverse them. You've heard a bit from some of the people who spoke before me about the promises that we delivered on. No new taxes in 5 years, reversing 200+ taxes. giving back the children their money, $11 billion. The 200,000 children received from the $55,000 grant. $11 billion per year in the pockets of their families. We double old age pension. That's $19 to $20 billion more per year the pensioners get in their pockets. We start spending back on farm to market roads. We reverse the taxes on the value-added tax on machinery and equipment, on pesticides, on fertilizer, on electricity, on water, on food. All of these things we did. We gave back the joint services their bonus. We started creating jobs once again because under APNU, 35,000 jobs were lost. In the Amerindian communities, they took away 2,000 jobs from the CSOs by firing them. We rehired many people. We started the part-time work so that more people in this region can get work. That is what we've been doing. And we did it with COVID. For the first 2 years of our government, we lost to COVID. You've seen all the changes in Guyana that took place in 3 years of PPP government because we lost due to COVID. Just imagine 5 years more what could happen in this country. We'll transform it. We'll fulfill the ambitions of our people. Everyone will get help. We've laid out our plans for the future. And that is why I hope that every one of you will read the flyer that we put out. It has nearly 30 promises there for the next 5 years. And what are these things that we must do in the next 5 years? We still have to return to the tasks that we have not completed. We need better and more jobs for our people across the country, including in this region. And I promise you that you will get those jobs here in Region 2. We need to continue taking away costs from our people. We have put more money in the pockets of many people, the pensioners, the public servants, and that will continue. The pensioners will continue to get better benefits. They will continue to get the free water that APNU took away. The public servants will get increased. Those on public assistance will get increased. There will be cash grants to families. We will make sure that you don't have to pay for your children's education. We've already started that process. We'd have to make sure. The Because We Care grant will be increased. Every child will get a transportation grant every year, so it will assist the parents for them to send them to school. School feeding programs for our children so they can get a nutritious meal. We have to get the best health care here on the Essequibo coast. You know that we're building a new hospital, and that will provide quality care, so you don't have to spend your money on health care. You don't have to spend your money on your children's education. We will lower electricity price across the country when the gas to energy comes. But here too in Essequibo, because we are already investing in the solar plant there, you will also get the same benefit. Your electricity rate will be cut by 50% too once we complete that project. You will get the cheaper cooking gas because many housewives, and I want to talk to the parents and the housewives here, that they are concerned because after COVID, we saw an increase in the cost of living. globally, everywhere in the world. But what did we do here in Guyana? The first thing we did is we subsidized electricity. We spent 80 million US dollars a year to keep your electricity price the same price as it was in 2020. There was no increase. We kept the water rate the same price by subsidizing it. Every gallon of gas that you buy, there is a 560 Guyana dollars subsidy. So if you didn't have that subsidy, you would have had to pay $560 more per gallon of gas or diesel, because we were worried about the increase in the global prices and cost of living. But only a PPP government will do this. Only a government that cares about the people will do something like that. We have to get food prices down and we have to produce more. The problem is that sometimes, like in Perica, in Region 3, the farmers get $40 per pound of cassava. By the time it hits the market, it's $120 that it's sold for. And so we have to keep working at that. We hear the concerns of people. But if we put more money in people's pockets because of better jobs and giving poor family help, and we also help them, those who don't have a house, to build a house, and we then reduce work at reducing costs and subsidizing many of the items as we have done, then many of those families will get a better life, and that's what we're about. Now, APNU says, oh, there is poverty in Guyana. We're producing oil. How is there poverty in Guyana? Well, the problem is that all the oil money that we have is only 37% of the budget. Only 37% of the budget. When we spend on education and health and roads, that's all the oil money gone there. That's all the oil money. So it's not as though we have a ton of oil money to give away. Nevertheless, we've been ensuring that people get more access to resources. We have been able to keep our commitment with all of this. So what will we do in the future? We have to make sure that we tackle poverty. If you send home 7,000 sugar workers, like APNU did, and they can't send their children to school, what do you expect them to be, rich or poor? That's what they left us with when we took back office in 2020. 7,000 sugar workers who were working, feeding their families, saving, they lost their jobs. They fell from middle income into the poor. 2,000 Amerindians who had a job were terminated. What do you expect them to happen to them? Wouldn't they go poor? If the rice industry didn't get any help and the paddy price you promised to pay $10,000 a bag and it fell to $2,000 a bag, what do you expect? The rice farmers are not going to be poor. If you guys have no help to people in the Pomeroon, what do you expect? They're not going to be poor, and they're saying, oh, there is poverty. Then we are working every day to change that, and you can rest assured that in this party, we will not rest until every single Guyanese, every single family gets all the help to lift themselves out of poverty. And how do we do that? How do we do that? We do that, as I said before, by assisting people directly. House lots for young people and for everyone, helping them to build so they own their own home. Let me today speak a bit to the Amerindians here. There are many Amerindians in this region. Just imagine the circumstances before 2020. No help to your villages. No help to people in the villages. Very few job opportunities. Very few access to education. No hope for the future. That is changing because of the investments we're making. Can you re-elect the same people, APNU and AFC, who have come now and they're seeking your vote again? The answer is no. No, we can never trust them again. And then the wind comes to the villages, the team Mohammed, and he hands out a few engines, and he gives a few people $50,000. And then you have to ask yourselves, what happens when the $50,000 goes? And when he might be taken away by the American for a long vacation in the US? What happens then? You're not gonna, they're trying to mislead these communities once again. And if you're Indo-Guyanese or a rice farmer, what do they have to offer to you? Nothing. You've been discriminated against all your life by APNU, AFC. And Mohammed doesn't really love you. He is coming to these communities to save his own ass. And then if you're Afro-Guyanese, here, look at APNU. They betrayed everyone. In Linden, their stronghold, they did not even do a single house lot in the 5 years they were there. They took all the land for themselves. So what are they going to offer you? A young person today starting a life under the PPP, whether you're Amerindian, Indian, Portuguese, or you're Afro-Guyanese or mixed, we're gonna push you very hard to be educated, to get the scholarship to study. We're gonna push you to own a home. We're gonna help you get a job. We're gonna help you start a small business because we're establishing a development bank. We're gonna make the tax system people-friendly and family-friendly, so you can then, just turn off that light, please. Yes, I like to look people in their faces when I'm talking to them. And we're gonna help you to earn, to start a family, to live in a safe community. That is what the PPP is about. You think the 50th, look at who went to nomination day with Azruddin Mohammed. They paid a number of people to go there. One group of people, youngsters who were misled, and then they had to go to collect their $50,000. A lady went there, and one of his henchmen, Azruddin Mohammed's henchmen, the people he associated with, brutally beat this woman with a gun because she went to collect her $50,000 to go to his nomination presentation of the list. That is the people he associates with. And then try to blame the PPP. What are they going to offer those young people? Bullying people on the street? That's what they're going to offer this country? Nothing whatsoever. APNU, on the other hand, has gone back to racism. They don't even talk about young people. They don't even talk about young people. How are you going to start your families? The people in Essequibo who are here and the ones at home who are listening, because Essequibo listens a lot. It's on social media a lot. And people in this county are smart. They do well at exams. They listen. They can reason. You have to reason what these parties stand for and who you can trust. And when you do that, when you use your brain, your faculties, then one party stands way above all the other parties, and that's the People's Progressive Party. And that is why, come September 1st, the PPP will win an overwhelming victory. You can't come here and mislead people and hand out a few things and lie and believe that the smart people of Essequibo will listen to that. And that is why tonight we see this turnout here, because people recognize that they're coming here. You know what is at stake. Elections are about assessing the past. Elections are about celebrating your achievements. Elections are about laying out the future plans, and we have done all of these things. But elections are about risk, and if you're not careful, there is a risk that you can suffer, a risk that will harm you and your families, whether you're Amerindians or sugar workers or public servants. And what's the risk here? APNU, nobody is voting for them anymore. I don't think so. They lost ground everywhere because people, they have a superstar who heads their party now named Norton, a very handsome man named Norton who heads the party. You know, he cusses me about my bald head all the time. So every rally I'm going to talk about how nice he is and how handsome he is. He cusses my bald head. But nobody, he can't inspire that donkey, much less people. So nobody is bothering with him or Nigel Hughes, and nobody wants to hear about them because of their track record. They can't go to the sugar workers who they lie to in Berbice and tell them once again they love them. So they need another person to do that. And that's why they have a deal with Azruddin Mohammed. You saw the evidence of them working together. Here on the Essequibo coast, they give them some of their activists. The same AFC people went to him. In Berbice, it's the same thing. The PNC and AFC people are going with him because they're hoping that he will be able to split the PPP support, but they're dreaming. They're dreaming. Look at the crowd there. That's not going to happen. They want us to go back to 2011 when we won. Ramatar was the president, but they had the majority in parliament and the country ground to a standstill. The country was at a standstill. We couldn't do anything in that time. So they're hoping to do that. And the Mohammed guy, he got in trouble because the moment the largest news media in the world, Reuters, published a report that said Azruddin Mohammed is several U.S. agencies, including the DA, is investigating him for 1, gold smuggling, 2, drug trafficking from Colombia, and 3, laundering money for Russian mafia. It wasn't the PPP that said that. It was Reuters who published the report. A year after that, he got sanctioned by the U.S. government, OFAC. And if we did not cut all ties, he couldn't have a bank account anymore. Because if we didn't do that, then the whole country, every one of you and your families here, every color, every Guyanese would have been put at risk. Because if the banks get shut down, we can't do business with the rest of the world. We can't export our rice. We can't export our sugar. Your families wouldn't be able to send money from abroad, or now you send money to them. That wouldn't happen if we had allowed this guy to continue. So he got upset with the PPP, and he said, I would collaborate with the others because they promised him that they would help him to get over the sanctions. That's a pipe dream. That's not going to happen. But that is why they have this plan that he will be the new face in many of these communities. And so when he comes to the Pomeroon, or when he goes to on the coast, and he speaks to you, well, if you can call what he does speaking, it is a sad thing for me. Essequibo values education. And to have a man like him come to the educated people of Essequibo and say to them, I want to be the president, compared to Mohammed Irfan Ali, the real one here, and his experience. Look at Irfan Ali, the experience of Irfan Ali, his statesmanship, his technical skills, his ability to speak on complex issues. This guy can't string together two words together. Yesterday or a few days ago, they launched what they call their manifesto. It was plagiarized, of course. And a reporter asked their general secretary, what's the power demand you're targeting? And I'm not lying, but her eyes got this big. Huge, huge, huge. Like, what hell you all put me in now here to answer a question? A simple question, basic question. You think you can rest the future of your children in their hands, a bunch of misfits? They have no experience whatsoever to manage anything, to do anything, and they're all gonna face sanctions. We have Irfan Ali, a leader who's been tested. And then you live on the Essequibo. You know Venezuela is trying hard to attack our country. The United States of America has stood with us throughout it all. They even now have a bill going to the US Senate to get them to make sure that the defense secretary could report on their action to support Guyana in its fight with Venezuela. Just imagine if a man like him, who is sanctioned like Maduro, were to get into office. We put our sovereignty at risk. So today, I wanted to talk to all of you, especially those who are at home and those who go on social media a lot. Use the brain. We're smart people here on the coast and across Guyana. We can't put things at risk. We can't put the future at risk. If you have to go to the back dorm on that day, don't go. If you're a rice farmer, go and vote. Make sure you're protecting yourself. When the next flood comes around, you want somebody who can listen to you. If you're an Amerindian, you also want someone who will not take away your money or your jobs. That is what is at stake. And I expect all of you on September 1st to talk to your neighbors, go back home and work. Every one of you to work hard for this PPP victory come the 1st of September. Let's all make sure we don't put our country at risk. Thank you very much.